There were some weird connectivity issues, and I will let you know in advance too that I am not in my usual place. There are dogs and there's some kind of other people around, and I had to find a spot where I can do the call today. So if for whatever reason, number one, if I get disconnected, I am going to switch my internet server and I will be right back. So stay on the page because we're having a lot of, in Texas, we call it having a little weather, but there's winds blowing and it's raining, it's really cold, and there seems to be something up. So if for whatever reason I lose you, just stay tuned. I can switch over to another server, another internet connection, and get right on. Okay. All right. And this call doesn't have handouts, but I made some notes, and after the call, I will share my notes. So let's get started, because this is one of my favorite topics. This is something that I have a lot of passion about. And I would have to say, too, that it is something that's been part of my personal journey, but it seems to be the conversation that I've had with people probably most of my life. Okay. So I want to ask you before we get started, do you have a desire to create wealth and make an impact through your business or practice, but instead of working on your business, you're spending time, you're just trying to manage either your fear or your overwhelm about everything that has to happen, or your overwhelm about what could happen? Like your body is reacting to everything. Cindy says she did. Thank you for joining, Karen, Jody, Cindy, and Karen. Thanks so much for joining. And I'm working off of my phone notes, so if it seems like my attention gets distracted, it's because I'm looking at the notes that I'll be sharing with you afterwards. So what you need to know is that, you're dealing with fear. Okay. And fear doesn't necessarily show up as, trembling in the sidelines, like, oh, I can't do that, or that big sick feeling in your belly. Anyone know that one? Or that tightness in your throat. You didn't know what to say. Suddenly there's no words. You're stuck. But those are the three main areas that we will fear. We will feel fear in our body. Okay, that is the main three areas in our body that we carry energy blocks or emotional blocks are right there in these centers. But the thing is that fear also shows up as indecision, distraction, family drama, and even illness. So we want to be sure and talk about this. So today what I'm going to be sharing with you is a new way to think about fear and overwhelm. I don't know about you, but because I have had to deal with this a lot, I have looked for tricks and tips and try to figure out what those beliefs are and learn strategies and mind games and how do I hypnotize myself into, changing my thinking. We're going to give you a really simpler way to think about that. Okay. We're going to talk about how do you transmute that energy of fear. Right? Because fear, what is its intention? It's to keep you safe. And it's kind of like it's a really bad version of what allergies do. Like, if you think about allergies, what are they doing? They're going, oh, your body can't handle this particular toxin or pollen. This food is not good for you. So we're going to let you know that it's not good by giving you a little signal. And that little signal is to completely incapacitate you so that you can't move away from the thing that is actually trying to poison you, right? I deal with springtime allergies, right? And you're just like, why couldn't I just get a little bell, right? Why couldn't it just taste bad and I spit it out? But we're going to talk about, too, how to handle those feelings in some different situations. And as always, I'm going to be taking you through the power of the one command. And, as I always say, there's the way I wanted to talk about it. There's the way I actually talked about it. And then there's the things I wish I told you. But this is my intention as we're setting out. And I've got a lot of things to share with you. So we're going to go for it. But for those of you that I'm new, pardon the noises in the background. That's going to be gone soon. There's a giant printing job apparently happening that I can't do anything about. Okay. But I'm Catherine Perry, the Big Vision Coach, and I'm the founder of the One Command Money Mindset Mastery Group, and I am the owner of Commanding Wealth Seminars. And this is where I help people like you master your mindset so that they can live a richer, more fulfilled life by connecting to their own greater capacity through the One Command technique. So let's get started. Now, first off, I want you to really get clear on the ways that fear blocks your success. And sometimes we know it is, right? That's almost the worst part of it. We go, yeah, I know I got this fear. And, when I think about doing it, I just get freaked out. And we've kind of accepted the fear as the norm versus our norm being a successful person that overcomes fear. Okay, so there's a clue right there. Okay, and that's actually a strategy that I'm going to be teaching you. So I'm going to say that again, that we kind of know ourselves as a person who has a fear. We accept that. We go, oh, there's our limitations, so I'm going to do it. I got that darn fear, right? Well, the people who succeed face that fear and they overcome it. But we don't really see ourselves as people who have the ability to face that fear and overcome it, or that the fear is a gatekeeper to our treasure. We don't really know that. We just kind of start naturally accepting this smaller way of being. And so fear has these ways of blocking your success. And number one, it turns your self-limiting beliefs into self-fulfilling prophecy. And we'll go, well, see, I had this fear of speaking, and then I got up and I spoke and I was nervous and I sputtered, and that proves that maybe I shouldn't be doing public speaking. And I'm going to let you know, if you have a fear of public speaking, if that's one of your things, raise your hand. Give me a okay or a thumbs up. I'm a talker, and the first time in speech class, way back in junior high, someone said, who wants to give a speech? I raised my hand and I jumped up there. Now, it was not because of the desire to speak, but this is a secret. This is from conditioning about a decision I made, because in my family, I grew up old school, I'm 61, and I grew up with a family that believed in, spare the rod, spoil the child. So getting whippings with a belt was the number one method of punishing and getting the kids in line. And they weren't cruel, they were being good parents, right? But in having 5 kids and having to stand in the line in the hallway waiting for your turn to go into the room to get your spanking, when it was beyond a spanking, we called them whippings, okay? Standing there listening to that was worse than the 60 seconds of getting the spanking, okay? It was worse. So my strategy was, hey, it's going to be painful. Let me get it over with, because that way I'm not having to anticipate it, right? And so that was the strategy. I didn't really ever have a belief about me being a good speaker or not good speaker. It was who wants to move forward. And the way to move forward was speaking, okay? And so a lot of times in our businesses, there's a way to move forward, but we have a fear because we overthink it. And sometimes that anticipation is so much worse. And so we get locked and frozen in that anticipation of, oh, what could happen? And then our mind has the chance to jump in and help us, right? So this fear blocks your success because it turns the thing that you feared into a reality. And so because I had the experience of the past in speaking, it would be like, oh yeah, I got to get up. But I never really had to prepare that much to speak. I always did better if I knew what my points were and just went with it. Well, the first time I had to after 30 years of speaking to all kinds of groups and rooms of all sizes and feeling pretty good about it and excited and loving it, I finally got to have a big flub on stage, and I did everything but wet myself, honestly. I stood there and sweated. I stuttered. I forgot what I was presenting. I wandered. I rambled. I forgot the presentation completely. I mean, it just was everything I never wanted to happen, and I never thought it would. But I had accepted this idea that there's this thing called fear of public speaking, and it became a self-fulfilling prophecy. Fortunately, I didn't know that speaking is just a skill and that you develop it, right? Number two, the three ways that fears block your success. It gives you tunnel vision. It causes you to focus on problems versus solutions. So as a result, it stops you from seeing past your own situation. And it's really the way you're even looking at your situation is through the wrong lens or the wrong filter. You're looking at through, how do I avoid loss or failure versus what is the opportunity here and how do I get to it? And we kind of assume the worst. We start generalizing limitations and resistance and opposition and criticism, and we immediately kind of go into this self-protect mode. And finally, fear convinces you to settle for less. And you wind up playing that old better safe than sorry game. It keeps you small. It keeps you broke. It keeps you from following your own advice and taking action. So I want you to think about right now, how is fear stopping you? And how is it showing up? And you might not even know what your fear is, but based on what I've said before, how many people have already started to self-diagnose some fear? And I'd love to get your feedback. And thank you, Agnelli. Hello. Hi, Jody. Hi, Linda. Thank you so much for joining me today. Yeah, how's fear showing up for you? Is it showing up in illness? Is it showing up as overthinking? Is it showing up as procrastination? Is it showing up as anxiety that just runs wild in your body? And we're going to talk about that because we've got some, I have some structural weaknesses that I've really had to fight through. And that's actually why I probably have gotten more interested in how to regain some things. So here's how I want you to think about fear, okay? And what my approach is and my philosophy. I'm going to tell you a little story. A few years ago, I had the chance to take my granddaughter, Maddie Kay, who, I tell you what, my soulmate there, Maddie Kay, are two peas in a pod. And Maddie, I think she's 12 at the time, and we had the chance to go to San Antonio. We took the train down from Dallas down there, had a great time. We went on the river walk. We went to movies. We did the Alamo, and we looked at the market. It was great. And one of the days we were out a little longer than what we meant to, and we got off the bus kind of at the wrong place, and we were several blocks from our hotel. So it's dark. We're in a strange town, a 12-year-old girl, and frankly, a very overweight lady who can't run, and my kung fu fighting skills are not what they used to be, right? So my granddaughter, she's looking ahead, she's seeing the darkness, she doesn't know where we are, and then she's seeing the people that there's some either homeless people or street people, or maybe they're hanging out. She's not sure what's going on. She's just seeing these people that are kind of ahead of us. And she's pulling back, and she's like, no, let's go back over to the light. And I said, no, we're really close. We're going to go by here, but I can't have you walking and hanging onto my arm. I can't, honey, I can't walk this way. Here's how I need you to walk. Take a breath, lift your head, lift your chest, and keep your eye focused on where you're going. Okay? Lift your head, lift your chest, keep your eye focused on where you're going. Right now, hey, do me a favor. Lift your chest, lift your chin. Take a deep breath. And then sometimes you could even kind of look up and then they go, you probably have heard about the Superman pose. And just getting more into that physicality makes a difference. But her mind was faster than her body. And so she's like, stop, Nana, stop. No, no. I said, just stick with me. We can do this. I'm going to show you something. But let me take care of it. I got this. So as we're walking past, I make sure that I kind of notice who the group leader is. And her job is to keep going forward. And we have a saying in our family. I said, listen, I'm the adult, you're the kid. My job is to keep you safe, and your job is to be safe. So just be safe. And I'll walk over here and I'll walk over, I'll walk closer to here. And so as I was going by, I would make sure to go, hey, like little nod, like, hey, and then just acknowledgement. And then I kept moving forward. And then when we got home, she was like, oh my gosh, we're finally at the hotel. And I said, listen, here's what I wanted to teach you. And I taught your mom this, and I learned this from working in apartments. You guys, if you've been following me, you know that I worked in the apartment industry for 20 years. I was a takeover and rehab specialist, and I worked a lot of bad properties, and we are talking about in bad neighborhoods and dealing with gang members and scary people and straight up people dealing with mental illnesses and people on drugs, and you never really knew who or what you were dealing with, right? So when we think about fear and staying safe, our main tools, like our reptilian brain says, okay, we've either got to fight, we've got to flight, run, right, or we're going to freeze. And if you're dealing with indecision and procrastination, hiding, you've gone into freeze mode, okay? And I'm a taller woman. I'm 5'10". I'm strong. I had a rough and tumble childhood. I had stepbrothers, and we wrestled and fought, and so really physical, right? And dealt with bullies and everything else. I grew up in a really poor area, so I learned how to handle myself. I learned how to deal with people bigger than me. So, I had that physical piece, and I didn't have that fear. But also what I had was my mouth was connected to my brain, and somehow I always knew what to say, right? And one day on one of these bad properties, people would come in, like I had people come in threatening and everything else. And, I'd thrown people out of my office, men. I could handle it. But one day I was on a property, and there was somebody working on his car. One, you can't do that. And two, he had music blasting loud. And then I'm just like, hey, you need to, one, turn that music down. And two, I know you got everything torn apart, but we're not allowed to work on property. I need you to get finished up whatever you're doing and don't do it again. I know what's going on here. It'd be impossible for you to get your car out of here, but I need you to just finish up and go. And he's like, okay, cool, thanks. So as I'm walking away, I kind of catch out of the corner of my eye his jacket that was on the ground, and I saw the gun in his jacket. Texas is open carry, right? Whether he had a legal permit or not, I don't know, but I guns are here. And I realized, oh my God, like, what did I just do? Who did I just talk to? And I was dealing with back issues. So suddenly I realized I can't do the fight. I can't do the flight. I gotta, if I got frozen, I would actually be more vulnerable, right? And so I had to come to a new decision. Like, how am I going to handle this? And I can't take these jobs and be afraid. I'm not going to live my life afraid. And I got to thinking, how is it I'm able to deal with these people? And so I'm going to share some of those. So what I realized was that, one, I spoke as an authority, and I spoke to him as the authority over his car. I spoke respectfully, and I had empathy for what he was going through. I knew, I understood, and I didn't try to do a power play thing, but I exerted my authority. And then we had this agreement, right? Yeah, this is what we're going to do. Yes, thank you, let's go. But I met him as an equal, but I did not meet him as a threat. I met him as an equal and a man of authority over his house. We were equals, that we were doing business together. And I realized that was the secret. And that's why you hear me say things like, the master in me greets the master in you. Let there only be love between us. We are meeting the world not as a master meeting another master if we're having that fear. We're meeting the world as a potential threat or something that's over us that we have to try to get up to win, to approve. So that is not in an adult authoritative position, right? Now here's the thing, that every person on their journey, and I really want you to get this, that every one of us start out in this position of being weak and powerless and at the effect of others. But what's inside of us is this seed of a master, okay? And every one of us, no matter at what level they are in life, have to meet and confront their limitations and their fears. And there's something that they have to rise up. And what every one of them realize is, one, confidence comes from experience, but it is an ability or a skill to be faithfully cultivated, and you commit to it. And there's nobody is naturally confident except for, a kid up under the age of 7 who did not eat dinner and has the nerve to ask for dessert right then, right? Just little kids, until they really get that message that they can't have what they want, that they can't just go around asking for it. They walk around with that assumption, right? So there is a degree, but we all have to meet our limitations, okay? So in doing this, what did I tune into? I went, oh, from what position am I speaking? And that's a question for you. When you are thinking about meeting the world, what position are you meeting it from? And I would guess if you are tuned into this group and you're tuned into me, there is something unique and special in your skill set, and you have a very strong sense of purpose and mission, even though you may not be absolutely clear on what that is. Now, you may not even be a business person per se. You may not have a business, but this relates to your career, and this really is related to anything you're ever going to do in life, okay? But if you are in a job and you're in that job in a position of fear, you're never going to master that job, and you're never going to advance, because that fear is going to keep you small and keep you from taking advantage of opportunities within your company. Okay, it's going to keep you from speaking up. So we have to make that decision to be a person of excellence in whatever field it is. Now, here's the other thing that I was coming from as I'm sharing with Maddie. I successfully taught my daughter Lauren, who I was raising at the time I was on all these crappy properties, how to walk around with that air of authority, how to meet people exactly the way they are, as an equal, as a potential friend. We did that old Will Rogers thing, okay? Oh, the world is just a friend I haven't met yet. And so we were meeting from that position that, yeah, we're equals. And I've had people, like I said, confront me. I've had guns pulled on me, everything else. But what I had from that space of being equal, that we're just two souls trying to figure this out. And believe me, if there is somebody that I feel like cannot be dealt with, I listen to my intuition and I move on. Okay, I do have really good intuition. But I have extreme flexibility. So remember we said fight, flight, frozen. But your superpower is that flexibility. And if you can cultivate this flexible behavior and start reframing and shifting how you think about it, go, well, asking, is this true? Thinking about how else you might say or approach a problem, that's flexibility. If you can learn to cultivate the skill of flexibility, you can do anything. And then as you do that, that actually starts to transmute and change the fear. Okay? Now, fear, its job is to let you know when you're in danger. But when we, have accepted this so often and we start generalizing danger, we have accepted so many limitations and limiting beliefs from our family system that if we start moving to the outer edge of going beyond what we were taught into a new realm, that old reptilian brain, what does it say? Come back, pull back, be with us. And you've heard me say this before, that the most loving, supportive family that believes in you will unconsciously sabotage you because you're going beyond their comfort level. Your ambition could make them uncomfortable. And so in order to keep that relationship, you will submit to their fears. So having flexibility and knowing how to communicate with yourself and with them, that is going to be your superpower. The other thing that I realized was that not only was I able to teach my daughter and my granddaughter how to appear more confident, how to speak to anyone, right? How to meet as an equal. I had to teach my staff and crew how to go out. I mean, it was women. We were, women leasing an office, and we had to go off and be in apartments alone with strangers, right? And this was before the days of a lot of properties having walkie-talkies and cell phones. So you're just like grabbing your keys and walking out the door, and no one knows where you're going. And maybe they may or may not know with who, right? So we had to say, hey, here's how we keep ourselves safe. Here's how we be safe, right? Here's how we make this plan. But I taught them how to communicate their authority and power unconsciously and consciously, but to really own that. And my properties did better than anyone. People always commented on, just the energy and the level of people that I had in my office. And that's because I met I met my staff as masters with great skills, and then I would learn from them and we would share our tips and tricks. So here's the thing, we talked about that we're all masters, we're just learning, we're all these souls on a journey. And one of the things that when we're trying to learn about confidence and standing in our power and our truth, we love saying that, right? We collect all those memes. I'll stand in my power and my truth, right? I'm not going to let anybody take my power away, right? And even that kind of languaging is very weak because you're having to push it out. You're trying to convince yourself in the world, right? And so you're not really owning it. You're not coming from that place, because people who own their power and know their truth and know their place in the world and operate in their power, they do not have to push it out or declare it. It is known and they know it within them. But we get this message that we're supposed to try to fake it till we make it. And the reason, there's a reason that is good advice, right? Because brain science has shown that our conscious mind, like our brain is kind of stupid. It's kind of it's kind of like, it's amazing, but it's not very smart in some things because it just accepts what we tell it. But it doesn't know the difference in if we are picturing, visualizing, or imagining, or if there's something that we are meeting in our reality right in front of us. But the thing that a lot of people don't realize is that our reality that's right before us is filtered through our imagination and what we're picturing, visualizing, and imagining, right? We don't realize that that's the filter, and everything that we are confronting is got to align with what we already think in our mind. So if we think that we have to fake it till we make it, then we are holding a secret belief that our power or our abilities to succeed is based on a lie. And the truth is that you wouldn't even have the desire to go after your goal unless it was meant to be, unless you were able to achieve it. But you cannot achieve it in this old, limited way of thinking. And you cannot achieve it unless you start meeting your fears. And you've got to meet them kind of in the way that I taught Maddie how to move past her fear of walking past these strangers in the dark in a strange town, right? Head up, shoulders back with a clear focus. And this inner knowing that my job is to be safe. So what she was also communicating is, I'm safe, I'm secure within myself, I'm not a victim, so I'm not the one you seek. Little Jedi mind trick there, right? I am not the one you seek. You're looking for someone weak. That's not me. But also, I'm a master, you're a master, we're figuring this out, so you're safe with me. So what if this message that you're meeting the world and you're going out and you're trying, like you're afraid and you want to try and build your business or make money or whatever, and you're afraid and you're freaked out and you're trying to fake it till you make it, and you're meeting the world and you're trying to get them to see this outer shell of you and convince them and trick them into buying from you. And then once they buy from you, then you're validated and it's all good. What kind of crap is that, right? What kind of way is that to do business? It is not the way to do business. We are coming from a heart of service and to bring value. So if you're getting this message from the world, are you sure it's you're hearing you, or maybe you're tuning into what they think, feel, and believe? And how can you respond to it? And guys, that is the secret to transmuting that fear, is becoming the observer of it and asking questions and taking time to turn those questions around. Is this my thought? Is this my feeling? Or is this the thought and the feeling of the people that I want to reach? And then how can I serve them? What do they need in order to be able to allow me to help them? What do they need in order to be able to say yes to their own good? What do you need? So we've probably heard about, I know I have, and I've seen the movies where there's a drowning person and they start thrashing and everything else, and the person who's there to save them has to know how to deal with their freak out and their fear, and when they're in that pure animal survival. They're actually connecting to the part of them that wants to live and thrive, not just survive. So they become the authority that the person that they're saving can accept and submit to. And this is why walking in your authority is so important. Is this making sense? Are you with me? Give me a little, I'd love to get your questions or comments now. Yeah. Hey, Mary. Hey, Patty. So happy you joined us. And Cindy's on the job. All right. So here's some of the main fears that we have to confront in growing a business, but really for any personal growth. And here they are. Number one, fear of rejection. Oh, what if I go and I make this sales presentation and they don't like it? Or what if I mess up and they say no? I would have done all this efforting for nothing. Well, the truth is that no's and rejection are part of the process. And if you're having a sales conversation or one-on-one, there's a lot of people that are coaches, y'all are just in a conversation to find out, one, are you a fit for me? Am I a fit for you? And they're not necessarily rejecting you. They're just saying maybe it's not right now, maybe later, or the solution you're offering is not a right fit at the time. Maybe they're just not able to say yes at that time. And your job is to help them through the process as much as possible. And if the answer is no, then you move on. Every once in a while, and I'm not going to lie, there's going to be somebody that doesn't like you. And that's okay. I know. I'm always shocked when someone doesn't like me because I'm amazing, right? But sometimes I'm a little pushy. Sometimes I'm too much. Sometimes my sarcasm takes over, right? Sometimes I'm just, you know, not on the same wavelength. And I'd rather have a clean, clear no so I can move forward and then go to the next one, right? But if we are living in that fear of rejection, we have pre-rejected ourselves. We've rejected all opportunity. We've decided we're already communicating, reject me, reject me, reject me. And then everything we do starts unconsciously aligning to that command. Yeah, you start unconsciously communicating to people to reject you, either through your words, your actions, or just your energy. Okay? Number two, fear of failure. Oh my gosh. Not only what if I try and fail, what's worse, what if I succeed and then I ruin it? Oh, I lose everything. What if I go through all of this and then it's for nothing? Well, you have to know why you're doing something. You got to be really clear on your purpose. And if you tuned into the Wednesday webinar that talks about design thinking, how to apply that, the first thing they tell you is you are going to fail when you first try this because you're taking it from concept into real people. Nothing's going to happen until you start actually trying out your systems, learning the conversation, learning how to convert, how to meet your people, find out what their language is. And you're going to fail more than you succeed. But then once you start succeeding, then you start building on that. But the thing is, how do you keep going with failure after failure after failure? Again, it aligns to knowing what your purpose is, knowing why you're doing it. And then what's going to help you? Flexibility. You got to commit to learning from your failures, right? It's just part of the process. In fact, in becoming successful, you start running towards your failures so that you can learn faster. Okay, so it's just part of the process. Number two, fear of overwhelm. I remember the first time Asara and I were talking about putting together a seminar, a coaching program, and it was some ongoing things. And then we were talking about creating a private membership group. And I was like, how are we going to manage all of that? Then we've got to travel, and then we've got to, how are we going to keep coming up with content? And Asara just laughed. She said, there's no way you're not going to come up with content. I've never met anybody so creative, right? But she said, why are you worried about being overwhelmed now? If you're looking ahead and you see that there's this feeling that you won't be able to handle it, here's a tip. I'm going to go ahead and give you a little practical thing that's not an attitude. Anything that you want to do, well, write it out and then make a list of everything you have to do to achieve it. And if it's, hey, build a website and you don't know how to build a website, put a star next to everything that you don't know how to do. Then you would either learn how to do it or find a way to buy it or borrow or barter for that thing that you need. But we have this expectation that we're supposed to be some kind of genius savant, right? And know how to do every single thing to make our dream come true. When in truth, the people who really succeed don't learn more things. They focus on one thing deeper than anyone else. And everything they do is to support that excellence. So a famous example of that would be Henry Ford. He was in a lawsuit. He was suing a newspaper for libel because he was called stupid. And they started asking him questions on the stand. Like, do you know accounting? No. Do you know machine design? No. Do you know this, this, this? And then do you understand marketing or this? Nope. I'm like, well, see, that's proof. You're stupid. He said, no. What I have, though, on my desk is a set of buttons. And if I need anything, I push the button. So I was intelligent enough to know my own limitations and assemble the greatest team in the world. So being able to meet that was great. And his genius really was how to create systems. And that's what he knew how to figure out. And he replicated systems all the way through. But he was clear on his purpose and he leveraged his gift, right? Okay. So the next thing is with that fear of overwhelm, that's being taken over, and that is a child, that's a kid overwhelmed. And again, you're seeing yourself, what you're projecting into the future is being a person who can't handle success, who can't handle responsibility, who can't handle being an authority. That's really the secret message that's behind that. Okay? So, mapping it out, writing it down, but then you have to say, who do I want to be? How do I want to know myself in the future? And that again, that starts to transmute it and turn around that fear energy. And fear simply becomes a messenger. It's just a signal in your body that there is something that needs to be addressed, not something that needs to stop you. Okay? The next fear and the way of thinking that we have to overcome is I'm going to have to sacrifice my family for business. I have to sacrifice my personal happiness in order to have a successful business. And we have all seen that. We've done that. We've been there. We bought the t-shirt. And interesting is things starting to come out. We're in a new paradigm. We're in a new world, right? But I learned something. I got to have a conversation with an Olympic athlete, Natalie Cook, who was in the women's volleyball team and won the gold medal. And she said something interesting. She said that when she has to train for an event and she wants to do really well, she gets her calendar, and the first thing she puts on there is everything that she needs in order to be nurtured. She puts down, in order to be happy and nurtured, she needs time with her friends and family. She makes sure she has that time for rest and restoration, and she has time to book all of her massages and all the physical therapy that she knows she's going to need after hard training. So she actually puts all that self-care in first. And this belief about sacrificing family for your business, that is ultimately going, I'm going to have to sacrifice myself. I'm going to have to throw myself on some capitalistic altar for the gods to deem me worthy. Now, there will be things that you'll have to make some choices, and there'll be some times, but it's not every time. And this is one I had to really personally learn, and every once in a while, it still bites me. I have to really come back and choose again. But I have to really get clear on what my values are, and that's what you have to do. You've got to get clear on what your values are, what's important to you, and order your life and your business around that, not your life around your business or your money-making activities. Even though money could mean survival, you've got to create in alignment with your values. Otherwise, it's going to fail anyway. Okay, so that's sacrificing family for business. We have to confront our limiting money beliefs. And usually these are people that maybe they make more money than their parents, or making family money their unique way their family doesn't quite get, right? Or even if you came from, worker bees and you're the first entrepreneur, they're just like, what the heck, right? Why would you think you would want more? Do you think you're too good, right? And we all have to meet those money beliefs. We all have those fears. We all have that fear too of we could get so rich and successful that we become horrible people. And the truth is that money enhances and it brings out more of who you already are. So why don't you decide to become a person of value and who delivers value, right? And who your success creates more success for other people. That's why you want to be successful. Okay. So there's some advice that you really can't take until you make the shift. Now we hear all the advice, right? It's like, oh, get a growth mindset and study your skills and focus. And we watch all these videos, right? And they list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to tell you those, but you won't be able to take it in. You may actually even misapply it until you align to your own greater capacity. And what's so great about the one command is it takes that desire it bypasses your limited thinking. And when you go into that theta brainwave, it moves you into this space of a higher vibration, and you're able to be more in the observer, and you're free of that default programming and your neurology that's like, oh, got you tense and freaked out. And so you start naturally moving into this higher way of thinking. And when we make the command, when we make that statement, it's a big difference between, oh, I know I've got to have more discipline. I ought to be getting up in the morning and exercising. But gosh, it's just so hard. That's a limited way of thinking, right? When we go up and we make this statement, I don't know how I have the discipline I need. I only know I am a disciplined person now, and I am fulfilled. That way, when we are pausing all of that inner chatter and our neurology and our habits and those movies and everything from our past, the way that we view it, it calms it down and it brings it right into our brain, and it is able to, I'm just going to say it's like a direct download. It's like downloading a new program into your computer, and then it says, let's upgrade the other files so that it works with the computer, that works with this new computer program. It's exactly like that, okay? So we have to do that. But then it moves you up out of being fearful and small up into being a co-creator and the authority over your own life. And that is probably the most terrifying thing of anything, is to say, you know what, I know that there's some outside forces, and I know there's things in my environment, but I have the ability to rise above it. I can learn, I can adapt, I can conquer, because I am a person of excellence, and I am a man or woman of authority. I can do this. That's how I know I can face the future with confidence. And if I don't know how now, I can find out how, or I can find out who does, and I have the ability to make it happen. And if it doesn't happen, I have the ability to overcome it and try again. So this becomes from your base of that's what confidence sounds like. That becomes your new base of knowledge, and it starts meeting that fearful thing. And then it starts giving you some more skills and resources in order to address this old programming. Now, truthfully, you can do this. It can take a lot of practice. You'll get there a lot faster if you're working with someone. Sometimes it's hard to really notice what your programming is or how you're thinking about something. I was talking to a client today, and we were addressing a fear, we're addressing confidence. And I said, well, yeah, now that you have a plan, how does that fear feel? And she's like, I don't know what you're asking. A plan? What plan? And I said, oh, I'm sorry. I heard you tell me 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, that sounded exactly like a plan. That sounded great. And it sounded like you knew what you wanted to do. To me, I heard a plan. To you, you're making a wish. So are you willing to commit to making the plan? And she went, oh, yeah. Oh, yes, of course. Right? So it's just that little bit of thinking of like taking it out of wish into decision point. Okay? We have to do that. Okay. So let's do some commands, and then I'm going to share with you the things that you need in order to really conquer those fears and get control of your overwhelm. You ready? So here's what we're going to do. I'm just going to do a couple because we're running over today because of getting started a little later. There. So right now, just close your eyes, become present in your body. And I just want to align my heart to yours. The master in me greets the master in you. And the fastest way to ground is just to picture, visualize, or imagine that you've put your feet in water, or what I love to think about is like I'm at the beach and I'm putting my feet into the warm sand, and I can feel the cool earth on the bottom of my feet and the warmth of the sun on top of my feet. And then just feel that warmth coming up through your body, giving you energy. giving support to you, every cell and fiber of your being. And now align to your purpose. And your purpose, think it could be, hey, I want to have a successful business and I'm earning $50,000 a month. The purpose is getting out of debt, or you want to create a lifestyle business where you have more time and freedom to do the things that you love and care about and make good money while you're doing it, right? Whatever that is, that's the level that we're thinking about, and bringing value to others, helping others. So align to that. Eyes closed. And you're going to roll your eyes up as if you're trying to kind of look up to the top of your head, or just looking up past your eyebrows like this. And picture, visualize, or imagine that you are traveling up a pole of light. This is your connection to source. And the higher you go, the faster you go, and soon you find yourself surrounded by the beautiful, velvety, black void of space. And now break through the darkness into the light of pure, open potential. Silently follow along. And I know that there's something that you are commanding for. There's a way that you want to be. So just think about the person that you wish to become. I don't know how I came to be, and state what that is. Bold and confident. I only know I am a person of authority now, and I am fulfilled. Let your eyes relax as that expands out. And I don't know how I am confidently learning and growing in my skill set. And I have an amazing ability to build support around me for whatever I decide to do. I only know I have all the skills and abilities I need now, and I am fulfilled, and I am supported beyond my wildest hopes and dreams. Now, and I am fulfilled. And I don't know how I came to feel so confident within myself and my experience. I only know I have been training for my success since the day I was born, and I am fulfilled. I am ready to move forward now, and I am fulfilled. Now just feel yourself coming back down, and as you're coming down, we're just going to unwind, unwind, unwind. That old programming, those fears, those doubts, that old, all of everything your family told you. Yeah, let all that go. Woo! There we go. And now we're going to rewind, rewind, rewind these new thoughts, habits, ideas, these new programs. Yeah. When you're ready, open your eyes. Woo! Hey, if you didn't do anything else when you started feeling nervous and you just rolled your eyes up and you just said, I don't know how I do this. I only know I'm successful now and I am fulfilled. That would already start to bring that good energy. Start making that a practice. Okay? When you start imagining something that you want and you start getting nervous or anxious, or you think you're going to be overwhelmed, whatever it is, nip it in the bud. We call that meeting it in the moment, and make a command for it right then on, hey, I don't accept that to be true. Here's what I want instead. I was talking to a client and I was saying, well, maybe you can check back with your contacts and get some referrals. And he started telling me this long story about how people don't like to do that in his business, and la da 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 da, and how it's not accepted, but everybody's like, guarding their contacts with, in case they need them later, like these little life vests or something. And I said, I'm going to pause you right there. We don't need any of those people, but there is somebody that would be a great referral partner for you. So let's do a command right now. And I don't know how I am connecting with the right people who freely and easily connect me with who I need to connect with in order for this project to be a success. I only know it so now. And he went, oh yeah, okay. Because he got in this loop, right? So you want to meet it in the moment. Okay, so here's the advice, okay? Number one, cultivate a growth mindset. And that It comes from the thing that all things are working together for your good. But also, everything good in you is working together for everyone else, works together for your success. You're all good. It's all good. You're good. They're good. It's all good, man. Saul Goodman quote there. But that you have the ability to grow, you have the ability to learn, you have the ability to adapt, and you're in this space of curiosity. Okay? Now, when that space is the same one that I was able to meet these people that look scary to everybody else, we're just souls trying to figure it out. Most of them, if they were in the area, I know, I was in a place, working class neighborhood, and maybe they were taught, eat or be eaten or whatever, only the strong survive, whatever. But I was meeting them as a strong person. Okay? So I empathized and I understood where they were coming from. I met them where they were externally, but inside I was meeting them as someone who was equal and was just trying to move to another level in life, right? I met the master in them. Okay, so that's that. Change your inner talk. I demonstrated that a little bit. Like, you've got to interrupt it. If you start questioning and you guys start going, oh, I could never get up and speak in front of people. The way you change that is not to say, well, I'm going to affirm. I easily speak to people. You can do a one command on that. But the way to start meeting it is to start questioning it. Well, why would I think that's true? What if I were able to meet people? What would that be like? You start interrupting it. Here's a great little trick that I use. I'll have a thought and I'll go, whoa, whoa, whoa. Or I'll hear myself say something that is counter to what it is I actually want to, have, be, or do. And I go, whoa, whoa, whoa. Cancel, cancel, cancel. I'm going to cancel that thought. I'm going to cancel that whole idea. And here's what I want instead. So I'm actively interrupting. Okay. All right. Next, have one main focus at a time. When I work with my coaching clients, we as entrepreneurs, we're never really off. And I have to thank Peter Schaller for teaching me this. It's better to have one main focus. What is that one thing that will move the needle in your business this week? Focus on that one thing, and then focus on what actions you need to take. So instead of saying, I'm going to get on the phone, I'm going to make calls for an hour, that is not specific. That's not a clear action. So what I'm going to commit to, and 3 days a week, is to make 10 phone calls, or reach out to 10 people, or I'm going to send 10 emails, or a combination of those. There's a great technique called 10 by 10 by 10, where you're doing 10 emails, 10 outreach to past clients by phone. Maybe your outreach through social media, 10, 10, 10. Maybe you're writing a note to people, but you do 3 actions of 10 with every day, and change it up, right? 10 by 10 by 10 is what that's called. You can look that up. But have that one main goal, 3 supporting actions, and then make sure that you have your family commitment, self-care, and personal growth, that's put on the calendar first. So we focus on that one main thing, and you actually get more done faster than if you try to multitask. Your brain, science has shown time and time again, if we multitask, it's like your brain being on crack. In fact, the brain on crack is more productive than a brain trying to multitask, because a confused mind says no. Here's the other thing. Map out your success. Be like Dora. Get the map, right? And the reason that this is important is so often when we work on our own, we don't have that accountability. And we tend to get into, there's that shiny object syndrome, and then we're putting out fires, and we're kind of reactive. And then stuff happens, the family happens, life happens. And then we go, what was I doing? And then you go, oh yeah. It's almost like a weird kind of amnesia. Like I worked for 2 weeks, and then you're like, oh my God, how am I going to make money? Well, what about that project you were working for 2 weeks on? Oh yeah, I got to do that, right? So map it out. The old way of saying that was plan your work and work your plan. So have that goal. What are your steps? Have them up in front of you, not on a notebook down beside you that you have to access. Keep it right there in front of you that this is happening on this day. And then make sure you check it off or line it off, put a star, celebrate each of those wins. Okay? All right. And then finally, get support. Get personal support and practical support. If there's something you don't know how to do and you want to learn, then go ahead and take a little training. But please don't think that you have to be some kind of master of the universe before you can take action. I worked with a friend of mine on getting her first webinar up, and she didn't have a website or anything else. And I showed her how to put together a funnel with no money. We set everything up in one afternoon using all free tools, and it looks fantastic. It looks very professional and beautiful, and then when it's ready to transfer up, she can do it. But whatever level you are able to operate at, operate faithfully. Operate faithfully. You may not be fearless. You may not be confident, but be faithful. And that faithfulness, as you move through that, will be the courage. Okay? That's what you need. All right? So I'm going to check if there's anything else. I do want to mention that if you want to work with me, all you got to do is shoot me a message. I will post in the comments later how to reach me. But the way I do that is we set up a call, and I just find out what you're up to and what it is you'd like to, have, be, or do, or what your goals are. And a lot of people say they feel better just because they talk to me, and they do leave with one practical thing that they could do or a shift in their thinking. But the purpose of the call is to find out if there's any way I can help you. I could share some insights, and if we're a fit. And then what it might look like for us to work together. I don't have a cookie cutter. I have more of think about it as someone who's a pasta chef and all the kinds of noodles and the ways to make all those noodles. We're going to have a noodle, but it's going to be your noodle. Done your way. Okay. So, hey, I'd love to get your comments and feedback. Was this helpful? And I think that Cindy, thank you so much. You shared some great stuff. Be sure and read in the comments. And I would love to help you. We've got a lot of great things coming in soon, and especially around the first of the year. And if working in this confidence piece is a big piece that you've got to change, especially in your business confidence, this is something that I'm really going to be focusing on in this next year. And I have a program coming up that I've called the Confident Coach. And it's the skills that you need as a coach so that you can have confidence. It's some of the business skills that you need, but also maybe there's some interpersonal skills. You need some mindset skills in order to do this. And you need to, know how to meet people and shift some of your beliefs. And so it's how to create some consistency and meet the world and go out and promote your business in a more confident way. All right. So if that sounds good, like you go, Catherine, tell me more. Type in here, tell me more, and I'll make sure that you're on the list. Okay. So yeah, ask me about the Confident Coach. Hey, hashtag Confident Coach. And I'll make sure that you get in on the announcement list for that. Okay, my darling, was this helpful? Yay! Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being part of the group. And until next time, this is Catherine Perry, the Big Vision Coach, and I witness your mastery. Bye-bye.